today I want to talk about something pretty crazy that I went through. I want to talk about my experience surviving a school shooting. For the big part of my schooling, I attended a private school, and for my senior year, that was actually the only year that I spent attending a public school, and I went to Great Mills High School in California, Maryland. So it's way down south. It's pretty much in the middle of nowhere. So what happened was, it was March 20th, and it was just like any other day. It's pretty interesting because a week before the shooting, I believe it was a week before, yeah, the whole school attended a walkout in protest of school shootings, and everyone walked out. And a lot of people weren't taking it seriously. People were kind of like, they used it as an excuse to get out of class. And everyone was just goofing off outside. And then an old friend of mine got a microphone and she was telling everyone, like, they should be ashamed. Like, this is a protest of school shootings. And that was right after the school in Florida had that horrible shooting. And like 17 staff and students died, I believe it was. And it was like not long after that. And we were protesting that. It was supposed to be for that, but people were just kind of taking advantage. You know how like kids are. Anyways, she took the microphone, I remember, and she was just reminding everyone why we were there, and we kind of got serious about it then. And then a week later, like any other day, I got on the school bus and I went to school. So when I got to the school, I believe it was like 7:45, which was pretty typical. It was actually a little early. I don't know. Like our bus driver was late a lot and it was pretty annoying. But we got there at 7:45, and I usually would meet up with my boyfriend at the time, and we would just kind of like hang out by my front room, like my first period class, which was on the left side of the building, like all the way on the left, all the way in the back. But he wasn't there that day. Like, I was expecting him to show up, and I can't remember if he told me he wasn't gonna show up. I don't think he did. He didn't tell me he wasn't gonna show up, but he just didn't. Like, we usually met in front and then walked to my class, but he wasn't there. And I was there for a couple minutes, and he just wasn't there, and I was just like, okay. So I was by myself, and I decided to do a lap, like, throughout the whole school, just to kind of pass time, because we were there pretty early. And so I just thought I should get some exercise, and I put in my earphones, and I was listening to Amy Winehouse. I was into Amy Winehouse back then. So I did a lap. So this was the front of the school. So I went to the right, and I just walked all the way down, and like all the way through the hall that stuff actually happened, to my first period class. And then I thought about going around one more time, but I'm just like, I don't know. I just didn't feel like it. And so I went to the bathroom instead. And my first period class was right next to a bathroom, like literally right in front of my class is a bathroom. So I just used the bathroom, and I was listening to Rehab by Amy Winehouse. And but the volume was turned pretty low, because I don't like to like feel like I'm in a different world too much, like, because I'm still in school, and like school didn't start yet, but I didn't want to feel like, I don't know, music blasting in my ears. I don't know, because it just kind of makes me feel like I'm in a different place. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Anyways, so I went out the bathroom, and I walked out the bathroom, and I remember it was just so crazy. And I heard someone say, "He has a gun? Oh my God, he has a gun." But like, they said it kind of quietly, like, okay, I had earphones in, but the music was turned very low. Like, it was just like a tiny bit of music. So it wasn't like my hearing was too drowned out from everything. So I remember someone was kind of maybe like 10 feet away from me on the left. Like, I had just walked out, and like on the left, someone was like, "What? Someone has a gun?" I was just like, "What?" And then someone else was like, "What? Who has a gun?" And then all of a sudden, people started running down the hall, like towards my direction. Like, people were running from a different direction towards where I was, yelling and screaming, and it was kind of hectic. And at first I thought it was a joke because there was so much, like, after that school shooting in Florida, you know, especially my school, there was a lot of stuff going on, and I just thought people were being dumb and annoying, like, oh my god, like, are we next? Like, honestly, it is something very scary, but it, you know, when you're in that situation, you never think in a million years that it'll be you. So I just thought they were being immature. But then once my teachers started screaming, all right, get into a class, get into a class, and like I ran to my first period class since I was right next to it anyways, and they shut off all the lights, everyone got into a classroom, and we were in the classroom, and I still, honestly, like, it took me a while to really believe what was going on, just because I didn't believe it. Like, I always think people are being just immature, because my school, the Great Mills High School, it's just, there's a lot of immature people, and they're just always acting crazy, so I just didn't believe it. And then I hear over the loudspeaker, my principal, Dr. Heibel, I don't know if he's a real doctor, something Heibel, I don't know, whatever. So he's like, this is not a drill. There's an active shooter on the premise. Everyone get into a classroom. Like, and then I was like, oh God, this is serious. This is not a joke. I need to call someone. I need to let someone know what's going on. Like, I wasn't freaking out. A lot of people were freaking out, like, in my classroom, even if they didn't see anything. People were just, I just feel like they were just freaking out a little too much. In my opinion. I mean, I kept my composure. Maybe I didn't really freak out because I didn't really believe it until it was actually happening. Because I didn't hear a gunshot. A lot of people said they heard the shot. It was actually right around the corner from where my first period class was that the shooting actually took place. But since I didn't hear the shot, maybe because I had earphones in, but like I said, the music was turned down so low, you know, I could have heard anything. I could hear someone talking to me. I heard someone 10 feet away saying, oh, there was a shoot, you know, someone has a gun. So I feel like I would hear a shot. And I know what a gunshot sounds like because I've shot a gun before, like in summer camp and stuff. Found out, once I figured out in my own mind, okay, this is not a joke, this is serious, no one's overreacting, this is actually happening. It got really scary, and seeing other people freak out in front of you, it kind of messes you up. Like, it kind of makes you freak out a little bit inside as well. Like, once I found out it was real, that's when I was like, okay, we just need to be quiet, we just need to stay safe and everything. And honestly, like, even though I didn't hear a gunshot or we weren't nearby where it happened, we were pretty close, but it wasn't like we were in the same hallway. It's still scary. Like, it's still like a scary experience to go through. And we kept hearing different things from different people. We didn't even know what was going on. Because we weren't close, we didn't really know what was happening. We heard, oh my God, 3 people died, 5 people got shot, these people are in critical condition. And it's just hearing all that stuff, it's like scary. Like, even though we didn't hear it, like, a lot of us didn't hear anything. Some people did, but it's like, what really happened? Nobody really heard anything. It just kind of messed with our heads because we're like, we never thought in a million years this would happen to us. And then finally, I remember texting my stepmom, texting my dad. I'm like, our school's on lockdown. You know, someone has a gun. This is serious. This is actually happening. And it was just like, we couldn't even believe that it was happening to us because we never thought it would happen. Like, there was a few people who were like, oh my God, we're next. But I just thought they were being like overreacting because you never in a million years think that your school is gonna have a school shooting in it. And it was honestly so crazy. And I remember we were in our first period class and it seemed like forever, and we kept looking out the window and we saw cop cars like driving up, and we were just being really quiet. The windows were closed, the shades, we were trying to keep them closed. We were just being as quiet as possible. The door was locked, lights were all off. And I remember hearing running down the hall. Like, we were inside our classroom, but we were being really quiet, and we heard like outside the door, like running up and down the hall. I don't know. And we were probably in there for like 45 minutes to an hour. It felt like forever, but it was like 45 minutes to an hour. And then finally, some policemen and like some other people, like staff, they let us out of our classroom. They said, okay, like, everything's under control now. I believe Dr. Heibel gave another like announcement over the thing, and it said that this thing is contained. The suspect is apprehended. Like, everything's fine now. But we still didn't know what was happening, who got hurt, how many people got hurt. Like, we didn't really know. So what they did was, one class at a time, they like took us outside. We like detoured outside into the cafeteria. We didn't walk through the school at all because there was some stuff there that nobody wanted to see. Unfortunately, some people had to see it because our classroom was right outside of it. But we went outside and we like took a shortcut to the cafeteria, and that's where they brought everyone in the entire school. And the last class that was put in there was a class that was right next to what happened. And those people, when they came in, they were really messed up and they were crying, and it was just crazy. We were in the cafeteria for a while, and I remember calling my boyfriend at the time, and I kept calling him like 10 times and he wouldn't pick up the phone. Like, he didn't show up to school that day. So I was calling him and he finally woke up. So come to know that he literally slept in for like 3 hours, and he finally woke up at like 10 or 11. Like, all this stuff happened right before 8 o'clock, and he finally woke up and he's like, oh my God, what happened? And honestly, it was really annoying, but it's whatever. It was really scary. And I remember I was with my friend Alyssa and Mason, and I was with those two people pretty much during this whole experience, and it was very crazy. After we were all in the cafeteria, they moved us, and we actually got on school buses and we went to our like neighbor school. Like, you know how every school has like a neighbor school, and like they kind of like rival when it comes to sports and stuff, and it's like, oh, the people from this school, blah blah blah. We went to our neighbor school, which was Leonardtown High School. And it's crazy because 2 students from there actually were arrested like a week or 2 before that because they were threatening or planning a school shooting. I don't know what happened, but it was something very similar. And it's like right after that, we had a school shooting in our school. So that was pretty crazy. But we went to that school and we were held in classrooms, and one by one, they called us through the intercom by our name. And then once they called us, we were able to go home. It took all day. It was crazy, and it was very, very exhausting. Some people were lucky and they showed up to school late. And once they figured out what was happening, they ran out the school straight away, and they were just able to go home, and they weren't part of that. They didn't really get to see anything. But we had to stay there all day and wait for our name to be called. It was like 4 o'clock. So we spent like an entire school day just sitting in a classroom, hungry. They actually did bring us food, which was really nice. A nearby Chick-fil-A cooked a bunch of food for us for free. And they brought it to us. And I remember just the look on everyone's faces, and it was so just horrible, that experience. Yeah, so a little bit about the shooting itself. So like I said, my classroom was all the way in the back of the school, all the way on the left. And so like imagine a hall, and then there's like a back door, which is the door we went through to get to the cafeteria, like outside. My classroom was right next to that door pretty much. And then down the hall around the corner, there's another hall, and that's the art hall. The shooting happened in the art hall. So the shooter, I don't know his name. I forgot his name. It doesn't really matter. He had a relationship. This is what I found out, and this is from friends of hers, and just friends of the people that I know. So I guess the shooter had a relationship with this girl, and she broke up with him or something. I don't know why. Who knows why people do terrible things? I really don't know the logistics. I don't know what happened, why he did it. But I know that he had a relationship with her at one time. And in the hallway, there was so many people because it's right before first period. I guess he just pulled out a gun and shot her. That's what happened. The gun shot, the bullet left her head and hit another guy, Desmond Barnes, which my boyfriend knew him. And I guess he was friends of his or something. Like, he didn't know him personally, but like his friends knew him and they were friends with him. And we thought he was in critical condition, but he just got shot in the leg. So he was okay. He actually called the cops, and they have the recording of him calling the police. And he's okay, and I'm glad everything's okay with him. And the girl that was shot, Jaelynn Willey, she actually ended up passing away. And it was a pretty terrible, pretty horrible thing that happened. This girl, I didn't know her personally, but California, Maryland is a very, very small city. Pretty much everyone knows everybody. Like, even if they don't know them, they know their face. I walked past her in hallways and I saw her, and I was friends with a foreign exchange student, and he was actually going to take her to the prom, and he had asked her to the prom. He did like this whole thing, but that was like right before that. And yeah, I remember that was just such a terrible experience, and her mom was on TV and just saying that they had to pull the plug on her. And I remember it was just such a terrible thing, and this girl that not a lot of people knew, we were just like affected by that. And like, I feel for her family, and it's just so heartbreaking. Like, really, like, emotionally, the whole school was just heartbroken for what happened. And I remember my friend Luis from Spain, the guy who was gonna take her to the prom, he was just so heartbroken because that was like one of his really good friends from the swim team. And it was just a horrible thing. Even though I didn't know her, you know, from the stories that I've heard, from, you know, just seeing her in photos, like, I know she was a great girl. And it was just a really horrible thing that happened. I don't know how else to say it. It was just really terrible. And there's nothing I can say to like console what happened. You know, I'm sure, you know, any horrible thing that happens, you know, we learn to grow from it, and I don't know, find some sense of healing. I remember right after that, they had a 3-week break from school, and they were offering free counseling because some people were really messed up, like the classrooms right next to it. I remember finally when spring break ended, because they just decided to do spring break right when that happened, because, you know, nobody can just go to school like that. A lot of people left their stuff there because they just kind of ran out of the school when that was happening. When we finally came back, I remember there was like a bunch of people outside holding up signs, like supporting, you know, us and telling us we were brave for going back. And it was really crazy. And I still can't believe that I experienced that. I mean, I'm lucky that I didn't really go through much. You know, going through that is a horrible thing, but I was lucky to not have to be someone who saw it happen, even though it was scary, don't get me wrong. I'm lucky. But yeah, it was pretty crazy. And I think there needs to be gun laws. I mean, I know there's so much going on in the world right now, and now there's not even school, but like, after that happened, I was so passionate. I still am passionate, you know, when school's open, like, there needs to be regulations, you know, rules about guns and stuff, and police. The policeman on duty at the school, he did his job 1, 2, 3, and he took care of the problem so fast. The running I heard down the hall, I'm pretty sure that was him running down. So that was a really crazy thing I went through, and I really think we should, you know, have gun laws, like I said. And, you know, even after that happened, March of 2018, there has been so many school shootings since then. And school just violence and shootings especially, but like stabbings and just crazy stuff. Like, I don't understand, you know, these kids need help. Like, there's kids who are damaged and they're out shooting people, and it's not right. It's not okay to justify it by saying, oh, they're messed up. You know, I don't know what's gonna do to help this, but I think people really need to get some type of laws or you know, rules when it comes to guns. Anyways, so that's pretty much all I can say about it. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel. Yeah, I will see you guys in my next video.
Feel this way, my girl, my girl.